Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings, and a slightly different one today because I'm going back to my roots. We're talking about inks again. Now, I mentioned last week I was thinking about different types of ink that I could use for signing Christmas cards. Some years ago, you may remember, I did some ink tests on Brandy Dazzle and Coraline d'Egypte, I think it's called. I'm not absolutely certain how that's pronounced, but they were really rather nice inks. The Brandy Dazzle certainly had an awful lot more in terms of shimmering. It seems to have a huge amount more glitter in it, but that could just be because I was sent a sample of the Coraline d'Egypte and it may well not have been shaken quite so well before it was sent to me. These things are possible. However, I've been using Brandy Dazzle for signing Christmas cards for the last I don't know how long, and I thought this might be a time to ring the changes and consider something different. So I thought about a nice dark blue ink, and I got this Shimmertastic from Cult Pens. There you go, Cult Pens, Shimmertastic, and it's Arabian Nights. But I also saw this other ink that's from Dominant Industries, and they've produced their own limited edition Pearl series for Cult Pens. Well, I had to buy that too, didn't I? Now, the Shimmertastic is a very pleasant ink. I have to say, I really like it. It's a very dark colour, and like the Brandy Dazzle, it has a very large quantity of glitter in it. It comes out really well on the page, as you can see here. When it arrives, it comes in this nice little box, and you open it up. The ink inside, nice glass bottle, nothing outstanding, just plain, simple, very effective. It's attractive. It's 50 millilitres, so it's a bit more than one of their small plastic bottles, and it's not quite as much as one of their huge glass bottles. But it's nice, it's good. And then let's have a look at this. Now, I will just say while I'm doing this that don't forget Christmas is coming and you need to think about nice presents. Now, when you're giving someone a bottle of ink, for example, how nice to receive it in a pleasant box, but with the bottle in a pleasant little bag. I thought that was a nice touch. And the bottle, when you open it up, is rather nice as well. It's quite heavy because it has this thick glass base. It's, how much is there in this? 25 cc's, 25 millilitres. So it's not a vast quantity. You can see on the bottom that all of the particles have deposited out. So when you're going to use it or fill a pen, you need to really give it a good shake. What I would say is these bottles arrive really quite full. So when I was filling my Pineda with it, I had to be jolly careful because every time I pushed down to create the vacuum, it's pushing air out from here. So I had to push the vacuum plunger most of the way down, then dunk it in the ink quickly and finish it off, and then it would suck the ink up. But if I did it trying to press the plunger straight in here, I would have had an explosion of ink all over my tabletop. This ink is, I think, absolutely glorious. It's not really a glittery ink. Instead, as you can see from these pictures, it's more, as it says on the box actually, a pearl type of effect. So you do get an absolutely wonderful, almost a glistening, but it's not as much in your face as the Brandy Dazzle and the other Cult Pens inks. So as I say here, impressions, definitely a keeper. I love the packaging. The ink itself goes down looking quite dark, but then dries to a lovely grey with a sort of reddish tinge. Outlining is very good. but rather better is the shading and the glitter. It's absolutely really lovely. The Arabian Nights is also very lovely, but it is very dark. It's a bit like a Cult Pen's deep dark blue, which is appealing, very appealing. It has got a good shimmer effect on it. Because it is so dark, you don't get any shading though, which I think is a bit sad. With the Dusk, you get really good shading, and the thing I do love about it is it's quite like Earl Grey. It's a reddish tinged grey, but it looks wonderful on the page. I am just very, very impressed. I love it. And that's an ink I'm going to be using a lot this Christmas. As you can tell, I filled this pen 3 days ago. I've got through a lot of ink in that already. That's more than I'd normally get through with any other pen. I am in the middle of writing a new book, which is taking a certain amount of time. The wonderful thing about it is I'm working with Eon Timeline, and I have to admit, I think it's saved me time already. It is wonderful to be able to write up quick summaries of every scene, write up a title for the scene, and then just press the sync button, and it synchronises from Eon Timeline straight through into Scrivener and gives me all the scenes. It brings across all the characters, all the descriptions of the characters. Everything else is brought straight up. So now I've got all of the basic outline of how I want the book to go, running in sequence. All I have to do is go into each of the scenes and fill them in. It's great. It's absolutely wonderful. It's a novel experience, working this way, but never mind. It's going jolly well. Now, I would be remiss of me not to point out that with Christmas coming up very, very close, at full steam ahead, it would be sad not to mention one or two really good things that you could do for those people you love the most. Because it's obviously difficult to figure out a decent present, but when you've got some books like these, or even, I don't know, another book like that, it makes your life easier. So all you have to do is go to your local bookshop, ask for a copy of The Merchant Murderers, or a copy of The Last Templar and The Merchant's Partner, and all of a sudden you've sorted out half your Christmas shopping, which is wonderful, isn't it? He says, putting them all away. I'm in the middle of writing this book. I've got a load more I've got to do, so I better get back to it. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope that was interesting. If you like shimmering inks of different types, let me know. Thanks a lot for all the comments from last week. They were very useful. But takeaway from this week is, if you want a subtle shimmering ink that you can use daily, then probably this is the one. So there you have it. If you like inks that you want to have a pearly sort of effect, this is a brilliant one to go for. Very impressed with it. It's a keeper. I'm going to be using that a lot, and I think this could be one of those bottles I finish fairly quickly. Apart from that, if you enjoy the website and everything else, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the bell button for notifications and everything else. Thanks a lot to all my Patreon supporters for the support that they've given so far. And if you've got any questions, put them in the comments down below. I'll respond to them normally within 24 hours. And apart from that, I've got to go edit this and then crack on with the book. So thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget, if you need a book for Christmas, I've got several suggestions for you. Cheers, take care.